Now, in this super comprehensive video, our instructor Paul Mohindi will show you the step-by-step method of creating topographical maps using Civil 3D in complete detail. Essentially, in this one video, you'll learn to use Google Earth satellite map data using GPS visualizer and Excel to import map into Civil 3D, and then you will learn to import points, creating and modifying surfaces, doing band analysis, running Plex Earth Lite, and finally creating sheets for topo maps. You'll also learn to do the same thing using Global Mapper tool as well. So without any delay, let's get started.
In this video, I'll be mainly using three softwares. The first one being Google Earth. So this is Google Earth Pro. It's a free software that comes from Google and you can easily download it. The other software that we'll be using will be the Global Mapper. So this is a professional software that you can use also to get survey data. So these two we'll be using to get the survey data from the Earth. So these are just rough data that we can use for this engineering purpose to get our topographical map, just to simulate what usually happens when you work as a surveyor or with a surveying team when creating the topographical maps. And the other main software that we'll be using, it's actually the Civil 3D, and in this case it will be the version 2023, the metric style. So for your case, if you do not have the Google Earth, what you can just simply do, just launch your browser. In this case, I'm using the Microsoft Edge, and then I'll just search on Google Earth. So once you search and you hit on enter, the first result that comes here, you'll actually find this where you can just hit on download. But if you want to see the website, you can just click on this Explore Google Earth, and a hyperlink will be created on this window where it will take you to this specific website. So this is the Google Earth web, where you can actually be able to use, or you can be able to explore the Google Earth on the website without downloading the software. But in the event that you want to download the software and you want it to be within your PC, which I highly prefer and I use, I usually, going back here, I usually just navigate to Google Earth and search on download. So once you click on the download option, it's going to give you this option here where you can just download, or you can just click on this download Google Earth Pro for PC, Mac, or Linux. So if I click on this, it will give me this hyperlink where I'll go through these terms and of agreement. So once I'm content with this, I can just click on OK, I got it. And then if I want to help to make Google Earth better, I can check on this. If I do not want, I can leave it unchecked. And then once everything is okay, I can just click on agree and download, and the software will be downloaded. So on this website is where you can use the Google Earth as an online software, but I prefer using the downloaded version. And in this video, I'll be showing you how to use the downloaded version. So having said that, the next thing I'll do, I assume you have already downloaded. The next thing I'll do, I'll just now run my Google Earth. So the main purpose of doing this is to get our survey data, which will be just a rough representation of what usually happens, or the process that usually happens. And in most cases, the surveyors go to the site and they go with their survey instrument. It can be any instrument, maybe a total station. It can be maybe GPS, or so many items that can be used to collect real-time data on the Earth's surface. And then it will be collected into one specific document, let's say an Excel document, where you can be able to manipulate and clean your data. Once your data is clean, you can be able now to import it to Civil 3D. You can create your topographical maps, and you can be able to create a very good representation of the current situation on the ground. But in this case, when you're doing the preliminary designs, what you usually do, you get your survey data from softwares like this, so that you can have a rough estimation, or maybe the rough budget that you require to do a specific project before mobilizing all your resources. So as you're fully aware that now we have run the Civil 3D. So this will be the pop-up window, which is just startup steps. If you want to show this the next time, you can just leave this, show startup at all times, or then you can close. So this is how your map or how your globe looks like. If you cannot see all these options, you can simply navigate to your tools here. And then once under tools, you can go to your options, And under the 3D view, you can change to the settings that I have. So under the text colors, you can use compressed, and then you can use the true color. Under this option, you can leave all them as medium, and then under the graphic mode, you can select the one that you prefer. But for the most important one is actually this one, show latitude/longitude. So we'll be using the universal transverse marketer in this situation. But maybe in your country, you might be using different type of systems. But in this specific tutorial, we'll be using the UTM system, and the units of measure will be the metric, as I stated earlier. And this is the meters, kilometers, so on and so forth. But maybe for your case, it might be imperial. So all these are the settings. I've gone through them through the video that I've linked down in the description. So kindly check it out, where I showed you how to use Google Earth and also how to use your phone. So once everything is set like this and you've gone, do not change anything on these other tabs. Just leave them as is. Just click on OK. So once that's done, you'll be now looking at the place that you want to create maybe your topo map. And in this case, you have multiple choices of different continents that you can prefer. We have the American continent, and then we have the African continents, the European, the Asian. So it's up to you to select where you want to do your design. But in this case, I'll be focusing on the African continent, more specifically Kenya, where we'll be creating a very simple topo map. And in doing that, we need some data. So I want to eyeball somewhere around the Rift Valley. So the Rift Valley is somewhere where we have very big changes in elevation, in that we have a ridge and then we have something like a fall. So I'll be going near the lake. So this is an area called Nakuru, where we have high geothermal manifestation, and it's very close to the floor of the Rift Valley. So I'll be zooming in, and then I'm just simply eyeballing so that I just target any place within this area. So this area around here looks like it's okay. I can be able to use it. It does not look like it has been constructed as we speak, or maybe it's been used for a specific purpose. Actually, it's a golf course, so we can just be able to use it. I believe it might be a bit flat, because it being a golf course, it might be a bit flat. But now we can use this area where we have some caves and the viewpoint. So this is the area that we'll be using. But for your case, it might be different, and you can clearly see my coordinates here. So these are the coordinates that we have, and you can see the elevations. So if I hover my cursor, you can see that the elevation difference here is quite big. So it will be the best use for this area.
I hope you're learning new things from this video, and I want you to get even more from this video. So I'd like to give you our completely free Civil 3D Essentials course. You can sign up for this course completely for free, and you can start learning right now. Once you finish the course, you'll also receive a certificate of completion from us, which is verifiable as well. So check the link in the description of this video and also in the pinned comment to sign up for the course. And after you sign up, continue the video here.
So having said that, now let's create our area or our point. So the first thing that we do under this area, my places, I'll just right click and then I'll add a folder, and I'll name it Topo Map. For your case, you can name it as the name of the project that you're working on. So Topo Map. Then I'll just click on OK. So once that's done, this folder will be created at the very bottom. But if I do not like where it is, I can just simply hold it down, and then I can just hover my cursor or like that, so that I can take it at the very top. I have to be careful that I do not place it under this, because it will be added under this specific folder, but I'll place it at the very top here. So once that's done, I can now be able to start create my points. And to create my points is very simple. And what I'll be doing, I'll just be creating a line, or a path, so that I can have a path around here, and it will be used to collect the different data points. And not only that, we can also change. Maybe we do not prefer this specific time that this area was like this. Maybe some construction happened and they levelized this entire area. We can able to backdate it to a certain year when there was nothing. Maybe there was no building and something of the sort. So that is something that we prefer. But in this case, I want us to use the current date where we have some buildings, so that we can also get some points of these buildings that we have here. So having said that, let's start by using this option. So add path. So the name of this path will be simply, we can name it as Topo path, but you can be organic. You can give it any name that you prefer. And under this, you can go through all the settings that you wanna. And the altitude, this is basically how this item will be. It will be clamped to this ground so that it will pick the specific elevation that we have here. But if you're interested about all these settings, I've gone through them in the video that I've linked down below. And you can change the measurements and how you want them. So if you want them in kilometers or meters, you can just simply change from here. So I can use meters for this specific case. So even before closing out of this, I won't click on OK. I'll just start by placing my points. So I want from this point, if I hold down my mouse button, I can simply just create or get all these points. I'm holding down my left mouse button so that it's like I'm dragging and I'm coloring around here. So do not feel offended or affected if you're just crisscrossing all these points. It's not an issue. You're just going to select all these points and then you're going to clean it up once you get to our Excel document, and I'll show you how to do that. So I'm just creating random points just like that. So do not feel like it has to be a straight line. No, it does not need to be a straight line. So this is just what we are doing, something of the sort. And I believe now we have a good point representation of this area. So once that's done, just simply click on OK. So in the event that we want to add, let's say this building area here, is very simple. You can just now use this place marker. So I'll click on place marker and we can give it a place marker of building. Once that's okay, now you can be able to place or just now drag your place marker. So maybe you want to zoom in, you can just zoom in by scrolling up your mouse button. So this place here, and then I can simply click on OK. Alternatively, if you do not want to use place markers, what you can do, you can use the same path option. So let me show you how we use this. So building, let's say path, but we understand what we mean. So we can place first point just by clicking once, then letting go, clicking once. So this is the left key that I'm using to select my point, something of the sort. So that's the way we select our buildings. So that can be the points of buildings here, and I can see another homestead here. So there and another. So do not worry about this line. It's just showing us the path. But once we take it to our specific software, these points will be more or less the same area. But what I usually prefer is having them separate. So if I want to undo, I'll just click on my right mouse button, and just like that, it will be undone. So we can just leave it at this area. So I'll click on OK. Then I can create other place markers in this situation so that we can have multiple place markers. So that is building one, maybe something of interest that we like, maybe a utility that we can see around here, maybe this viewpoint. So we can name it as viewpoint. Then I'll simply drag it and place it here. And remember, if you want to change how your style looks like, you can simply change from here your logo and your icon, your color, so on and so forth, or even the type of logo that is being used. So if you prefer maybe something of the sort or something of the sort, it's been updated in real time. But this is mainly just on Google Earth, just to use your specific icons or styles that you prefer. So once all that's done, you can simply just click on OK. And now I believe we have captured all that we require. So you do not even need to reset anything of the sort. You can just leave it as is. So once that's done, now we can be able to export this information that we have created. And to do that is very simple. So where we have created, you can opt either just to export the specific path. So I'll show you how to export maybe the specific, these coordinate points that we have made, this zigzag, this random points, or you can export as an entire folder. So let's start by one. So select the item that you want, navigate to save place as, so click on this, and then navigate to the folder that you want it saved. So in this case, I'll be saving it to my folder of desire. So in this case, I will be saving it under directory of documents, Google Earth and data, and I'll save it as a KMZ file. So you can also save it as a KML, but I prefer just using KMZ. So depends with the one that you prefer, but I will advise you just use KMZ, then click on save. So once that's done, that one has been saved. And now let's save the entire folder. So select the entire folder here and then simply go to save as, and then the same item will be given. So the name of this will be Topo map as the name of the folder, and you can specify the file type that you prefer. So for my case, I'll be using KMZ, then I'll click on save. So once that's done, now we're done with Google Earth, we can safely exit from it. So I'll go to file, I'll go to exit. So in this case, I've just launched my browser and I'll be searching for a specific free website that we usually use. It's called GPS Visualizer. So this is the option that will come here. GPS Visualizer, it has this icon here. So I'll just click on it once and it will launch the website. So this is how the website looks like. So what we basically want to do, we want to get started here. So you can select the specific file that you want. So we have all these options here that you can use in the event that you want. So if you're using the KML, if you're using these different file formats, you can select here. So let's select the GPS file. So select it, navigate to where you have specifically saved it. In this situation, we have it here. So we have it under Google Earth data. And remember, we had this containing all the information. This is the building as well as the viewpoint, and then this is just the path. So let's start with every information. So click on open, and then from here you can choose what you want. So what is the output format that you're targeting to get? So we just want it to be maybe just a plain table for now. So let's first click on convert, and it will take us now to a different interface here. So once you're here, you can just simply change on how you want to change it. So click on go back. So you basically have these ads, but you can click on close. So once you click on close, it will take you back to this specific interface. So under this, we want to select now the file type again. So that is something that I usually do so that you can have this entire interface. So under this, now you can select how you want it to be shown. So we want the name, the description, so on and so forth. But you can even change the specific order if you are not content with this. So under here, we can even go to advanced settings. So if you click on this advanced, so click on advanced, make sure your output are in metric, and you can change so many things that you want to change over here. But much of these things, I just leave them as is. The delimiter, I can use the comma so that it can be a bit easy, and the same as the other one that we have done. You can add this digital elevation model, elevation data, the best available sources. And then down here is where you can now check on other items that are very important before exporting. So at the bottom here, we'll navigate to the miscellaneous options. So we want to output it as a UTM coordinate. So this one, you make sure you check on yes, and it will be changed to, we want to have the eastings and the northings rather than the latitude and the longitude. So once that's done, now you can simply just click on convert. So once you click on convert, you can clearly see that it's running, it's processing. And even before exporting, we can see what we have here. So this is the type, the latitude, longitude, the easting, the northing, and the altitude. So these are the items that we actually want for our data. So once that's done, you can just simply click on download. If you're not content with this, you can just simply go back and you can be able to edit what you want to change. So here we have this specific document which has been downloaded. So I'll just simply click on open so that now we can open our Excel and edit it. So remember, this is the one that we have all the information. So in the event that you can do for the path, I'll leave that exercise for you to check. So once we have this, I can just select everything, double click so that I expand my windows. I don't want to have this. I don't want to have the latitude and the longitude or the zone. I want to have the easting, northing, altitude. I don't need the scale, the name I require. So that is basically my description, and then I'll select that, and then I'll just simply delete. So that is what we have currently. So these are the numbers. So this I'll just select and then I'll delete, and I'll make sure that now my data is harmonized. So this is the points that we had. So it has grouped them. And what I'll just simply do, I'll just insert a new tab and a new column here. So insert. So we have a column here, and then I'll just simply do away with this two rows. So right click, delete, so that we have all of them around the same point. So this topo map, I remember it's all of them. So I'll just double click to propagate all the empty cells with the same information and just add these two items. And under here, I'll just name it as number, but we'll just delete this row before we take it to our Civil 3D. We'll delete all this row here, but because it will be given as a error. So this is description just for now so that you can be able to understand. And under number, we can now select 1, 2, and then once you have these two, you can just double click and then to propagate the rest. So if you scroll down, you can see the number of points that we have. We already have more than 1,500. So over here, we still have like built-in path. So remember, we did a built-in path there. So you can just select these two rows here and do away with them. Just delete and just propagate these remaining numbers. And that's it. Now we are done. So the next thing that we need to do is just to clean our information here. So we want to make sure that our decimal places are within the same area. So we cannot do that because we have this row here. So remember, I told you that we are going to do away with this specific row. So now can be the best time. But basically, we use the PennZ format. So the PennZ format. So this is the point where we have the point, this and this are the points, the point number. Then we have the easting. So this is the easting. So where we have that being the same with this. And then we have the northing, that being the same with that. And then we have the Z. So this is basically the elevation. So we have that being the same with that. And then the description. This is just information from your team just to tell you this specific point was a building, this other point was a viewpoint, and this other point was a topo map, so on and so forth. So that is basically how this system works. And I'll show you how to apply this once you go to Civil 3D. So I'll just delete that. I'll delete to the left so that I do away with all this. And then we can be able to fine tune our data. So I'll select my 3 columns and then I'll just simply increase my decimal place to the second place so that all of them are on the second point like so. And once that's done, that's it. Now I can save my specific document to the folder that I want. So under this specific folder, I'll just be saving it as Google Earth Points. And remember, we want it to be a CSV. So if in the event that it's not a CSV, it won't be able to be launched within your specific software, in this case, Civil 3D. So to save it as a CSV is very easy. You just simply change it from here and you make sure that it's a CSV file. And in this case, we are using the .d limited. So once that's done, I'll just simply click on save. And it will be given this prompt that some of the features won't work because it's a CSV, and that is usually normal. So just click on yes. Then we can just simply close from this specific one. So what I'll do, I'll just simply launch my Civil 3D. So Civil 3D is a powerful software that we basically use as civil engineers for a variety of projects. This including the road design, land development, and topographical mapping. So as you're aware, in this video, we are focusing on the topographical mapping features of Civil 3D, that it allows you to create detailed and accurate maps, essentially for planning and executing our construction projects. So once in our Civil 3D software, the next thing that we're going to do, we'll create a new drawing from a template. So we can use the Civil 3D metric template, or you can browse to select the specific template that you prefer. So once you get to this document, it's under the file or under the local disk that you have saved it. And in this case, we'll find it here. And in this case, we are using the Civil 3D 2023 version. So I already have this specific template and I have custom made this specific template for my users. But if you're using the Imperial, you can select this one and you can run. So in this case, you'll be using this custom made one, and I'll share it with you so that you can be able to follow along. So I'll click on open. So to customize it is just to create your description keys. If you're interested to learn how that it's done, I've linked down a video on how I took you through creating all the description keys that are required within your project. So once that's done, the first and most important thing that we need to check are the units of our specific drawing. So to do that, we simply navigate to settings. So we have our settings tabs here under our prospector tab. So you click on the settings tab, you select drawing, you right click, and then you navigate to edit drawing settings. So click on this once. So once that's launched, you first navigate to the units and zones tab, and under this you specify the drawing unit. So if you're using imperial or metric, you select from here. For our case, it will be meters. You can even select the conversion in the event that you want. So you can select from here. You can select the scale that you want. So in this case, I don't want to use a custom scale. I'll be using 1:1000. And then under this, the angular units, you can leave it as degrees. There's no issue. We won't be really touching on this very much. Remember the item about the zone and the category? We find it here again. So in this case, we are focusing on the continent of Africa. So you'll select this, African. But in the event that you're using from America, or you're using from maybe the European countries, you can select from here, or any other place that you prefer. But for our case, it will be Africa for this case. And then the coordinate system, you'll be using the ARC 1960. And the zone is around 37 area. So let's select this one. So once that's done, we just simply click on apply. All these other settings, I've gone through them in the video that I've linked down in the description. So once that's done, I'll click on OK, and I will just be saving this specific drawing before I do any importation. So I'll just simply go back to Prospector. I'll click on save. So I'll navigate to the folder at which I have my documents. So in this case, I want to save them here. So documents, and I'll create a new folder called Civil 3D. And in this case, the name will be Topo map. And the drawing is this 2018 version. But for your case, if it's a lower version or you're working with a team that has lower versions, you can reduce the version of your drawing. But for my case, this is all right. I'll update the sheets and view thumbnails now. But we currently have nothing, so it's not an issue. So at the bottom right-hand corner, we can clearly see that it's been saved. So that's how we save these points. So the next thing that I want to do is to import our points. So to do that, we can simply import from here. So you can click on points, click on the point creation tool. And once this pop-up window shows, you can select on this icon. So this is how we import points. Click on this once, and this window will be presented to us. So this is the import points window. So from here, you can click on this add button. You can select the specific item that you want to import. And in this case, we want to import this item from Excel, the one that we saved as a CSV. So once you select it, you can clearly see that Google Earth automatically detects it. And if you cannot find it, you can even change from the available settings that we have here. There are so many settings and options to import files and documents to Google Earth. So I'll click on open. And once that's done, it will give me a green tick, meaning that the data is accepted. But you have to be very careful on the filter option that we have here. So this is the easting, north, elevation. But remember, our easting is not 1, 2, 3. Remember from what I showed you, that was our point. And this is the point, the easting, the northing, the elevation, as well as the row description. So this is what we have. And then we can add it now to a point group. We can create a specific new point group. And by doing that is very easy. Just click on this icon here. And then you can give a new point group. Let's say Topo points, something of the sort. Click on OK. And then from this drop down list, you can select the specific point group that you want. So this makes it easy for you to have multiple points within the same project and having different groups that you can be able to manipulate and delete in accordance to the way you want. And then you can just simply do some elevation adjustments if possible, as well as coordinate transformation. So this is another security option that Civil 3D gives you to protect and to smooth line your data. It's more or less like an editing option, not a security one, yeah? And once that's done, you can just simply click on OK. So right now, our points have been imported into our Civil 3D software. And once you're done, you can just simply click on close. And down here, or under the prospector, you'll find this tree. So click on add. You'll find that we have this warning because under this, we actually had initial points that we had from another project. That's why we have this warning, but it's not an issue. For now, we do not need this. So I can simply click on it. I can click on delete. So as to delete this NYS points, and they will be deleted from our software. And then I'll just simply right click at the very top of this tree, and then click on update. So once I click on top of points, you can find that now we have our points down here. And the same thing, if we find the all points, we have this preview showing all the points that we have here. But inside our drawing, we cannot find them. It's not an issue. Just simply double click on your center wheel mouse button, and just like that, now we can see all our points. So I want to show you how we can be able to streamline some of the points so that it can represent what we had in our description key. And to do that is very simple. So you can just simply right click, you can go to edit points, and this panorama window will be shown. So you can remove this auto hide option for now, and under this you can change your description to match the one that you want. So we have our point number here. So you can click on this to organize it in the specific numerical order, the one that you prefer, or you can just simply go directly to this area. So under this area, you can be able to change, let's say building path. You can just double click here so that you can edit it to BLD, something of the sort, just to keep it simple. So it depends on how you want your data to be shown. So you can just update this to BLD, this other one as well, BLD, something of the sort. And once that's done, you can just simply click on check. Then you want to right click, and then you can apply your description keys, and the areas where we have maybe the description keys that we have already defined under our settings here will be updated within the drawing. But now we are content with what we have, and we're happy with what we have. So the next thing that we want to do will be to create a surface. And to do that is very easy. You just follow this order. Right here we have surfaces, then right click, click on create surface. So once you click on this, it will give us this create surface option. And from here, we want a type of surface being a thin surface, which is the triangular irregular network surface. But you have all these options that I've already gone through. So click on this first. You can change the layer if you want to change the layer of this specific surface, or you can leave it as default. For my case, I'll leave it as default. As you're fully aware, Civil 3D usually creates layers for us to use. And then you can even change the name just by double clicking here and give it a specific name that you want. Let's say EG, which means existing ground. So let's use caps existing ground. Then you can change even the style of representation of this specific area. So once that's done, you click on OK. So you might wonder, where is this surface? I cannot see it. The reason being, we just created a shell and we need to define this shell where the data is coming from. So you just go to the definition area, and under this area, you're going to select your point group. So right click, click on add, and select the one that you want. In this case, only topo points, and then click on OK. And now it's defining your surface. And just like that, voila, you can see your surface has been created. So right now we are getting roughly where we wanted, and we want to get to the point of having our topographical map. So right now we have this area here, our topo path over here, and we can see how everything looks like. We have our BLD, so our building here, and it looks quite good. So let's continue refining it. So once that's done, let's now define our surface. So to do that is very easy. Just simply click on this surface, left click on it, and the contextual window will be shown here. Under this contextual window, we want to get our surface properties. So click on this option once, and the surface properties window will be shown. So we can clearly see this is a name. You can also edit it from here if you are not content with how it looks like. You can even change the definition. So here is where we check on how it has been built, and this is the area that we'll be focusing on right now. But the other tab is about the analysis. So you can do analysis of this specific surface. You see the different ranges, and I'll be showing you how to do that. And the statistics is basically how this specific surface has been created. What do I mean by that? Under general, you can find the number of points that have been used. You can find the minimum X coordinate. So this is the distance along the horizontal area, and the minimum Y. So this is basically the distance along the vertical area, top to down. And then we can have also the elevation. So this is the one that we want to focus on. What is the minimum and what is the maximum? So the delta is about something of 200 or sort of, or 300 meters. The difference between the minimum and the highest, which is not an issue. And the mean is around 2,100 meters. So that's okay. But when you're creating surfaces in Civil 3D, you need to communicate to it so that it understands how to propagate the surface, because right now it is just connecting different points and triangulating different areas without knowing which points to omit and which ones to consider. And to give it that information, you go to definition, you go to building, and under this you can exclude points which are less than a certain area. So for this case, it's considering -1 kilometer or -1,000 meters. But for our case, we saw that the minimum was 1988. So for our case, we can use 1980. And for the greater one, we saw it was 21 something. So we can say 2200. And this about the angle is about the contours. So we can even reduce the maximum angle. Instead of a straight line, which is 180 degrees, we can use something like maybe 100 degrees. When it comes to the maximum length, it's considering the length. It can be unlimited. For us, we do not want it to be unlimited. So maybe this degree we can use maybe 135. That is 180 minus 45 degree. And the maximum length we can use something like 100 meters to increase the accuracy. And then all these others, we can just leave them as is. Under the data operation, I'll show you how to use this, but just leave everything yes, so that you can be able to manipulate all this information within this specific surface. And under the edit operations, you can also leave everything as is, so that you can be able to edit all this information within your specific surface. So once that's done, we'll just hit on apply and we'll see the change that will be done. So apply, it will be given this prompt either to leave it as marked as out of date or to rebuild. So we want to rebuild, so click on rebuild, and just like that, now we see a new surface has been rebuilt. But you can see that over here we have a missing area or missing information. So that's how we come and fine tune this area. So minimum, we can say 1900, then click on apply, rebuild. Oh, sorry, right now I clicked on mark as out of date. So we can just simply click on OK. Then I'll just simply go back to my surface here. And then I'll just simply right click and then I'll say rebuild automatic. And right now it has rebuild. So let's now fine tune this properties here under build. In case you can just take it back to level 0, click on apply, rebuild the surface and see how it looks like. But much of the time is about the contour points that might be affecting this specific area. So that means that some area here is not being considered because of the length of the triangulation. The distance between the points is greater than 100 meters. So that's why we have this challenge. So maybe for the elevation, we can leave it as 1900. This was not an issue. So rebuild. And then for the distance here, instead of 100, we can now update it maybe to a kilometer. And then we can see that now all the points are being connected. But you can always just fine tune this information here just to make your map be more realistic. And just like that, these settings are okay. So once that's done, I want to take you through the different types of styles that we have. So under here, we have these specific styles being the contours, being at 2 meters for minimum and 10 meters for the maximum. So you can either edit the existing ones or you can create a new one. So to create a new one, just simply click on this drop down icon here, click on create new, and this pop-up window will be shown. So under here, we can give it a new name. So in this case, we can just call it a source code, and it will show who has created it and what specific time. Under boundaries, you can select how you want your borders to be shown. So this is basically the borders of this specific surface, which I'll show you either to turn them on or turn them off. Under the contours, now you can specify how you want your contours to be. So under this area, we have the contour ranges where you can group them by quantiles, or you can select the different options that we have here. So we can leave them as is. You can even change the color scheme if you want. So we can use true so that you have different color schemes when you're ranging your contours. Under the 3D geometry, you can even show the different information under the 3D. So you can use either the U surface elevations or the flat elevations or the exaggerated elevation. So I usually use the surface elevations. And then under the legend, you can use either the contours or you can even specify a specific basic, or you can create a new one under this and use it. So I'm going to leave it as contours. Under the color intervals, now you can under the contour intervals, you can specify how your software will be reading it. Is it after every 2 meters for the minor, or after every 5 meters, and for the major, let's say 20 meters, something of the sort, so that you have something like so. And you can also specify your base elevation where the Z axis will start reading. So you can just leave it as 5, as 0, but you can specify how you want your very base elevations for your bands to be considered. For our case, we give it 1900, so you can just update it as 1900 and just like so. Under the contour depressions, you can either check if you want to display them. So if you leave it at false, it will not show, but if you leave it as true, it will show. For now, we can just leave it as false. And then for the contour smoothing is to remove this sharpness in the contours just to make it a bit smooth. So you can turn this as true, and then you can specify how you want it. Is it by adding vertices or by spline line curves? And then you can change the smoothing information here. So let's do the vertices, and then you can increase the number of vertices so as to make it more smooth. So under the grid is just basically how it will be shown in the 3D and also the primary, like so, and the secondary grid. Under the points is how these points will be shown. Under the triangles is how these triangulations will be shown. Under the watershed is about just the watershed when you're constructing your watershed area. So this is how this will be shown. Under the analysis, this is what will be considered. So the directions and what will be shown, is it the rainbow or the quantile? Or also if you're wanting to show the 3D information, you can also show from here. So this is how you create your different information on what you want. And also the elevations, you can change from here. If you want to show your elevations either in 2D or in 3D, you can change from here, as well as the slope, arrows, you can change from here. And also the display, the items that you want them to be displayed, and the color. So let's say the major contours, you can show them being, so let's turn this on, the major and the minor, and then you can change the color from here. So let's say we change this color from brown to this color here, click on OK. Then you can even turn on different items that you want to be shown. So currently this is how it looks like. And once satisfied, you can just go to your summary, just review all the information that you have prepared, and then click on apply, and click on OK. And now we want to apply it to our specific area. So now we have the initial one been applied. So let's click on apply, and that's how the new one looks like. So we have our boundary here being yellow, our major contour like so, and our minor after every 5 meters. So this is after every 10 meters, and then our minor after every 5 meters. You can also change. If you're not content with that, you just simply click on this drop down, and then you edit current selection. So it will not create a new one, but it will just edit it. So we want to go to contours, so that we change the intervals. Instead of 5, we can use 2, and instead of 20, we can use maybe something like 8. Then click on apply, click on OK, then click on apply, and just like that, it will be updated. But I honestly prefer the previous one. So let's just go to edit current selection, and then under contours, intervals, instead of 2, let's just go with 5 and 20 for the major. And just like that, click on OK, and it looks beautiful. So in the event that you wanted to add more information on this specific surface, you can also do so. Back to surface properties, I can just change it now to triangulation. So I'll use the triangular option that we have here. So this is basically found under this contour and triangles. So click on that. It's a default template, and you'll find this option here. Once that's done, I'll click on OK. And if you zoom in, you'll find that you can see all these triangles here. So these are the items that we are specifying, the minimum angle being 135 degrees and the length being 500. So under here, you can add more information, or you can even edit this surface that we have here. So we can go to edit surface. We can be able now to either swap or add points, or even add lines. So to add lines, I just select add a line. Then I can specify one endpoint here and another endpoint. Let's say something like so. So there's an error in performing this edit, either the distance is quite long. So that's basically how we do it. Let's try to look at an area where we can be able to add a line, maybe this point here to this point. And I have my snap cursor turned on so that I can be able to snap at different points. So this is how we add lines, something of the sort. So where you select and there is no point, it is going to give you that error. But you can also delete a line. Let's say in the event that we have multiple lines here, I can select this, then hit on enter, and just like that, it's been deleted. And if I want to add it, just the same way, just select your surface, the contextual ribbon will show, click on add line. So from this point here to that point, and just like that, so that's the way you add your line. Not only that, you can also swap your edges. So you can click on swap. So if you do not like how this one is, you can click on it and it can be edited or it can be swapped. So it depends if the edge can be swapped or not swapped. So in this case, that specific area cannot be swapped, and that's the way you usually check. So sometimes it can be applicable, sometimes it cannot be applicable. So once that's done, you can also check other options. You can either add points. Maybe here there's a missing point. You can just add a point. You can also delete a point where we have multiple points. And you can also modify existing points and move points, and also minimize the flat areas, and so on and so forth. We have so many options that we have gone through in our entire course. So that's been said, I want to add maybe a parcel here because we have a building area here. So to do that is quite easy. Just simply zoom in to this area where we have build. So here BLD, I'll simply go to my home tab and I want to use my polyline option. So it's basically this option under the draw. So select polyline, and I have a layer here called building. But if you do not have it, it's quite easy to create a new layer. Just simply click on layer properties. This will be launched where you can be able to create your new layer here and name it building. So in this case, maybe we can use this one that we have already created, or I can show you. So just click on that. So BLD. So this is building. And then you can specify the color that you prefer. So in this case, we can even use, let's say red. Click on OK. And then I'll just check on this to make it current. Then close for now. And then go back to polyline. Then start to create my point. So polyline. And then you can even use this transparency option here where you can use pick points. So this is the option that allows you to pick point objects. So click on this. So this is the first object here, first point, then maybe second point here, we can see it. So make sure first you have your polyline starting like so, because it's a command inside a command. So you can select your first point, and then you can pick your object. So this is a transparency. So you can select the next one. So this one being here. So right now we are already here. Then we can look for the next one. So this is the building one, another building one here. But if you want to be only left with this building one, you can just simply zoom in, select it, then right click, select similar. So we want to select similar points. So like so. But right now it's selecting all of them because it's not differentiating them using the description key. So this is BLD. To differentiate, you simply go to settings, and under settings we go to points. Under that we go description keys, you select this, and then we want to edit. So go to edit. So we want to look for building. So this is BL, but we want it to be BLD. Then I'll click away. Then I'll simply click on check. And then I'll just simply go back to prospector. I'll go to my points, right click, apply description keys, and just like that, they have been updated. Then I can right click. I can say select similar. So we have only those ones selected, and then I can right click. I can say isolate selected items. So it will be easier for us to draw our path or our point. So this point here, can select object. So we want this object here, that object, and back to the original one here. Then right click to exit from the transparency command, then escape to exit completely. So we want to create a parcel. So go to parcel here. We want to create a parcel from an object. And in this case, it's this polyline. So select this one, hit on enter, and the name of this parcel. So we can use site1, and this is a property that we want to consider. And the name of this parcel, we can just leave it as everything as is over here. And then we want to erase the existing entities, then click on OK. So once that's done, we have our property which has been created here, and it's a parcel. And now we can bring back what we have hidden. So isolate and object isolation. And now we have our property here. The next item is maybe this viewpoint that we had around here. And right now we cannot really pinpoint it. But once you go to your points down here, you can easily find it, and you can be able to fine tune it and show it on the map. Not only that, you can also create alignments, which are basically roads, so that you can be able to show maybe how a road will be leading to this specific area. And it's quite easy to do that. So we can use basically maybe this polyline. And I'll just be creating a very rough connection, maybe from that point, maybe to that point here, and to this point here. Then right click, then hit on enter. So I want this to be an alignment. So to do that is quite easy. Right now I'm just using the building layer, but I can just simply update this to maybe a road. So here we have like a road layer that we already have created, or you can even just fine tune it to be a specific road item that you have, or we can just leave it as generic. So once in generic, we can simply go to alignment. So we want to create an alignment from object. So I'll click on this, then I'll select the polyline. In this case, it's this one. Then I'll select it. So I'll go to polyline creation. I'll go to alignment creation tool. I can give it the name that I want. This is a center line. I can specify the site that we'll be using. We can use the same site. We can use the proposed area and give the specific item that we want to be checked. We're not going to consider the design criteria for now. It's just a rough design. And then we want to create an alignment here. So it's very easy. We can use either a tangent without any curve. So we can just start with this. So we can start from this point, then the next point being here, then the next point being there, then right click. So this, we have an alignment. Then we can create a very simple curve. So here we have this type of constraint. So it's a free spiral, curve spiral, where we have this orange icons on both sides. It means that it's constrained on those two sides. So the first entity is here, while the next one is here, and this one is actually less than 180. And then we can specify a radius of around, maybe let's start with 1 meter, and the spiral in maybe 0.5 and 0.5, just to see how it looks like. Maybe 0.5. So it's not working with that. So you just have to play around and see how it will work. So first, next, less than, the radius can be maybe a meter. Spiral in can give it 1. So in the event that it does not give you a solution, it's not an issue. This is just a rough design that you're trying to come up with, just to show how maybe this point can be created. And that's done. We can just use our cursor here to give our distance. So spiral in, distance here, spiral out, another distance here. So because the radius here is quite big, that's why we have the issue. But in the event that we have had a tighter corner, it will have been way better. So let's just create a very tight corner, maybe something of the sort, something of the sort like so. And then now we can be able to create our curve. So this is a first, this is a second, which is less than that. Then we can use 5 meters, then spiral in 2 meters and spiral out 2 meters. So we right click to close away. And right now you can clearly see that now it has given us a solution on how this specific alignment can be given connecting to this road. So that's basically how we create our alignment and create our topographical maps and showing the information that is required. So in the event that we want to do some surface analysis, that can still be done. So I can select this. I can go to my surface properties, and I want to change the specific property that we are working with here. So remember the one that we created, this is source card. Can apply, and that's the way it looks like. Very clean and very neat. And in the event that I wanted to show some an analysis, I can just create a new one. So from copy current selection, and then I can edit it, maybe call it 3D analysis or something of the sort. Once that's done, I can check on the items that I want to consider. So in the 3D geometry, You can check if it's checking the surface projection. You can just make sure that everything down here is the way we had created, but the main item that we want to update is actually not under that, but it's actually under the analysis. So we want to consider 3D items. So down here we want 3D, as well as the elevation. We want it to be considered in 3D surface, and the slope also in 3D surface, as well as the slope arrows want it to be considered also in 3D surface in the event. So in this case, we do not have the specific display for this 3D surface, but now we have selected. So the elevation, we can turn it on, as well as the direction, but we can come and turn them on gradually as we proceed. So I'll click on apply, click on OK. So in the event that I want to remove maybe this bracket, I can just edit, remove it, click on OK. Then we can apply to it. So right now we have this thing looking like so. You're wondering how it looks like, but because we are in the wireframe. But to change the way you view it is quite easy. You can just simply go to view here, and you can even change the number of viewports that you have. So let's say we want to have 2 vertical viewports, so on 2 either side, so something of the sort. So we can have one on this side and the other one on this side. So here we have our wireframe being seen from the top, while this other side we can now change it to conceptual, so that we see how the 3D analysis is being done. So that's how it's being done, and I can just change it to this perspective. So remember, the elevation is a bit different, so this is the way it looks like, and I can simply zoom in to that level. So once we have this, the next thing I'll show you is just to select now our surface. So now we have our surface. I'll go to surface properties, still using the same layer that we have here. We are going to go to analysis. Under the elevation, we are going to create a new specific analysis. So you can either use contours, directions, elevation, slopes, so on and so forth. For our case, we want to focus on elevations. Under the legend, you can specify elevations and the number of ranges you can specify from here. Then once you're content, you just click on this to run analysis, and it will be propagated down here. But in the event that you want to reset your ranges, you can just click on this and then it will be reset. You can also change the legend to either basic, so as to change either the color scheme that you have here. And if you're not content with the color scheme, you can just simply change it. You can just go to copy current selection, and then you can specify the one that you specifically want. So elevation, maybe 3D, something of the sort. And then the properties, you can go through them here, and also the number and the minimum. You can also change the color that you want to show from here. So this is the way we change the color that you want or you do not prefer from here. So you can change everything from here. And once that's done, you can just simply click on OK. Then you can find it here. Then you can just run the analysis again. So you have the minimum, the maximum, then you can hit on apply, hit on OK. So to show the analysis, just select on it, go to surface property. So make sure you still under this area so that you select your surface 3D analysis. We want to focus on this one. Just confirm that everything is okay down here. So we are checking under the analysis. We want the elevation. We want to use, instead of blue, we want to use rainbow, and the number of ranges can be 8, or you can even specify from here how much you want. And even under the slope, you can specify the type of color that you want. So currently is reds. You can use rainbow as well, and so on and so forth. So you can click on apply, you can click on OK, so that we change the color being displayed here. And under analysis down here for the 3D, you can now be able to run your analysis, and just like that, it has created the new one. Once you check on remove scale to fit scheme, it won't give you the bandwidth because it's not changing the scale accordingly. So once you're satisfied with everything, you can just hit on apply, then hit on OK. And just like that, you can clearly see that right now the surface has been updated. And in the event that you want to show also this elevations, you can just click on this and also just make sure that you refine what is being displayed here. So just edit current selection again and go to display, So right now we want to focus on the elevations. So check on elevations. This is what is our main item of focus. This we can just remove this space bar, and everything else can remain as is. Then click on OK. Then click on OK. Now we can be able to find this representation of our rainbow color on our elevations. So that's simply how we do it. And once you're content with the designing process and everything, you can just simply now move back to your specific window, the one that you're working with. You can change the viewport back to a single one. And just like that, now you're back here. So the next item will be how to export this specific data, which is quite seamless. So what you do, you can even first add a legend. So I can just select on this specific surface that we have. So we want the legend of elevations and we want it to be dynamic. In the event that we update anything, change any different, it will be able to be updated in the table in real time. So you specify the upper left corner. So this is the upper left corner, and it will give you a very basic breakdown on how it looks like so. And in the event that you're not content with what is being shown in the table, you can select it. You can add items, you can remove items, you can replace, and you can also update the contents that are within the table. But for our case, we are content with that. So right now we want to export this specific topographical map. And not only that, even before exporting, you can even add a earth background. So you can use this third-party software that is actually free. So this is Plex Earth Lite. So I've shown you how to download this, and I've linked that video down in the description so that you can be able to learn how to use this specific free plugin that we have from Autodesk and Plex Earth. So once our plugin has started, we can either set the georeference if it's not set, but remember we did that in the settings when we started. So we want just a quick view on how this area looks like on real Earth. So I'll just click on quick view. I'll specify in drawing. So this is the area that we want, let's say from this point up to this point here. So we just want to see how it looks like on the Earth surface. So right now it's fetching the data. And just like that, we can see that this is actually how it looks like. Remember when we were taking the information here, so there's a row down here that you can do as your assignment. You can just create this alignment here, offset it. I will attach a link on how I create roads in Civil 3D so that you can learn. There's also another road here. So this is basically how we check our survey data inside Google Earth. And if you just zoom in slightly, you can be able to see what we had initially from our previous software. Maybe this one is more updated and more real-time compared to what we had initially, but it's basically more or less the same thing. So this is how you check your information. Once you're done with this, you can just simply exit, or you can just close from here. And just like that, it will close away from that. So once you're satisfied with everything, you can be able to export it. And to export it, it's quite easy. Just simply right click here, navigate to select from template. So once you select from template, it will prompt you to select from the existing ones that we have here. So we have sheet sets, which you can check and specify the one that you prefer. And there are usually also other different types of templates that you can be able to use that are found within these areas, or once you download, you can be able to import them and use them accordingly. So let's say like this one is a plan and profile, this is a plan only, and you can change the different types of items that you prefer. So this one's already made for plan production. So we can use this plan only, click on open. So you'll be prompted to select the specific layout and the paper size that you want. So for our case, we can just use an A1, 1:1000. Remember that is the scale that we have here. Then once content, click on OK. So after a few seconds, it will be added here. So this is the one that we have created. So I'll just click on this one just to activate this specific layout. And once in this layout, I'll be prompted by this paper type. And then I can just simply create a viewport. So viewports are usually created here. So I can click on rectangular so that I create a rectangular viewport from this point all the way down here. And it will look into my model. I can just double click inside here so that I can fine tune it. So use zoom so that I just fine tune it to where exactly I want it to be shown. So I can use right click to pan, so that I just pan slightly and then just place it there. Then right click, click on exit, then you can double click away. So that's basically how we do it. And down here we have our attributes. So if you just double click on this, you can be able to update the information of this specific project. Maybe the client that you're working with, maybe the address of this one was Nakuru, Kenya. So that is one. Then two, can use maybe Rift Valley. So Rift Valley. Then the third one can use Kenya. Then the project name can be Topo map. The date can be like so, and the scale can be like so. So once that's done, you can click on apply, and just like that, you can see that it has been updated. The project name, we gave it Topo map, and it has two, but you can just maybe give something specific if you want to do so. For my case, I just leave it as that. And down here, you can give the sheet number, and you can even add more information about the farm name and who designed it and so on and so forth. So that's basically how we do it. You can add your general notes here. You can even add your legend. So in the event that we had not done our legend here, we can now add our specific legend for this viewport. So if we had multiple viewports, we can now be able to specify maybe this is the map base and something of the sort. But for now, we do not have so many things happening. So we can just do away with this one. So select, and you can be able to delete it. So select it and delete it, and it will be gone. You can also add your scale bar here so that you can be able to measure what is happening down here. So we want to use it metric. So select metric. You can select the viewport. So this is a viewport for this specific scale. And then you can specify the scale bar divisions like so. And also, is it in meters, kilometers, so on and so forth. The ratio. Once you're content, you can hit on OK. Then you can just simply zoom in and click here, and it will be updated in real time. You can also add your north arrow in the event that you want to specify which direction is north. You can just specify the specific one that you prefer using. In my case, I can use arrow number 9, or maybe because this is quite colorful, we can go with 11 just to make it fully colorful. So you can select that one, select the specific viewport, select the location on which you want to place it. So you can just place it around here. And right now it's quite small, but it has been added. So you can be able to update it in real time. So once all that's done, you can just simply now be able to export it. Or in the event that you want to use the reference system, you can just select also the viewport here. So this is a viewport. So remember the one that we use. So it's the current one. It will give you a preview here. Then the precision, you can click on OK. And now we have our reference system here. So for the north arrow, it's quite small and we do not need it for now. We can just do away with it. But remember, you can select it and change the properties to how you prefer. So once that is all done, it's just a matter of exporting, and it's quite easy. Navigate to output. You can create either your view frames if this is a very big document, but for our case, it's just very small, which we can just go directly to plot. So click on plot. And from here, you can specify where you want it saved. So high quality, then we can specify the size. So this is the size. You can specify how big you want it. So leave it as layout. You can specify the scale. You can also specify what the type of pens that you can use. For now, you can use AutoCAD, the ACAD type. And you can also plot in the background, transparency, settings you can observe, so on and so forth. But for now, just leave everything as is here. Apply to layout, click on OK, specify where you want it saved. So for my case, I want it to be saved under document, PDF, and the name will remain as is. I'll click on save. So after a few seconds or a few minutes, the job will be exported. And right now we can clearly see that no errors were detected during this exporting exercise. So in the event that you want to view your specific drawing, you just launch it with a specific software that you usually use to view your PDF. So for my case, I usually use Bluebeam Review Extreme, which is a really good software for engineers and also quantity surveyors, architects, and the people in the construction industry that you can use. And if you're interested to learn how to use it, kindly comment down below and I'll show you how we use it. So over here we have our exported PDF. So if I was to zoom in, I can clearly find all this information. Remember when we created our property, it's been seen here, our alignment here. So this was just a generic line, so we can be able to delete it. But the alignment here with the curve, it's been shown here. The annotation items are quite big, so we can be able to filter and remove what we do not need to be seen in this specific surface. But this is basically it, and you can also add another viewport for your 3D image just to show how your topographical map looks like. So from here, we have our layout tool that'll create a new rectangular one, and then I can add it from this point up to this specific point about here. And then I can just simply zoom in, click on conceptual, just the same way we did it, and then it will be displayed like so. You can select from the tools we want to orbit, so click on orbit. We want the normal orbit like so. Hold down so that you can pan around and place it in place, something of the sort, and that's how it looks like. I'll hit on escape so that I can be able to select on the specific items that I want to display. So that's the way it looks like, and to me it looks good, so I can just double click away, and right now we'll have the updated display of our surface like so, as well as our 3D down here, and you can be able to edit and even fine-tune it even further as the way you want. That being done, you go back to output, you plot it, and now you can save it as a different type of file. So this one we can call it 3D. Click on save. So the printing is done. There's no errors whatsoever. This was the old document, and the new document is this one, where we have now the 3D item added to this specific document, and you can clearly see it's very well represented. We have our scale here. You can be able to follow along, and you can share this as a professional document. So just to finalize, there are some labels that we just need to add on our drawing, just to make sure that we can see what is the contour elevation once we move here, and just to clean out this extra information that we have here. So to do that is quite easy. I'll just simply navigate back to the model where we have it. And then for this view, I can just change it back to just a single view. So I'll just select single. It will go back to this one because this is the one that I had active. If you can clearly see, this blue lines shows the one that is active. But in this case, I'll just select this one, and then I'll go to single. Then I'll just change this to 2D wireframe. And then I'll just simply click on the top so that I have it an aerial's view like so. And then I'll just turn it once so that I have my north facing in that direction. That being done, I just want to place my simple annotations so that I see how the contours are moving, and I actually just want to even change the intervals of this spacing within my 2D. So to do that, I'll just simply edit this 3D layer that we had placed, and to do that, I'll just click on this, edit the current one, and under the contour, the intervals under here, we want just to confirm that everything is all right. So everything seems to be okay, that we have in our minor at 5 and our major at 20. So that's okay. So I'll just click on OK and just leave it as is. And then I just need to place my labels. And to do that is quite easy. I just simply go to labels in the contextual ribbon. You can add multiple, or you can add spot elevations or spot elevations on grid, or the slope and so on and so forth. But for us, we want to put the multiple labels. So you can specify your first point being the opposite side of the drawing, so that point there, while your other side being this other extreme side on the diagonal side. Yeah, so we can place it around this area. So it's loading a bit, but that's not an issue for us. Just try to zoom in and then just tag it around there. So that is how we have placed. And if you just hit on your escape key, you'll find that now you have this annotation, these labels here, and you can be able to follow along how the contours are within this area. And for the ones which are minor, they are grayed out, and for the major, they are more visible. And that's the way we actually show our labels. And if you wanted a specific area, let's say a spot elevation, you can just select on this. You can navigate here and you can select your spot elevation. Maybe you want a point, maybe around this point here. So it will give you the elevation there, maybe another point here. So these are just point elevation, which you can just select randomly just to show the areas that you want. Not only that, you can also show your slope so as to understand how maybe the water is flowing. So hit on escape and then select you want to show slope. So select slope. So you want maybe 2 points. So you can select your first point here and your second point being there. And the slope at this area is negative 2.1:1. While this slope here is 455.3:1. So that's simply how we show our slope within this area. And not only that, there are so many settings that you can go through. Even if you select this and you go through the properties that we had here, if I was just to create a copy of the existing one, let's just create a copy. This one, we can have it being just for the slope. And under that, we can even change what will be analyzed under the analysis. So under this area, we want the slope area to be considered. But remember, we actually activated all of them. So what is just remaining for us is just to apply it. So I'll apply it, it will be the same. But what will change for this specific item will be the type of analysis. Remember, you find this under the same surface properties under analysis. Instead of elevations, we'll use now slopes. And you can select the one that you want. You can use this default one. Click on apply. We'll use this rainbow scheme. Click on apply and then click on OK. So that's simply how we show also our slopes on our specific diagram. Not only that, you can use so many settings that are found here, so many types of analysis from what we have already created. If you want just to show the contours, you can have only one type of item being shown. If you want to show maybe the slope arrows, you can also add your slope arrows and they will be shown on your drawing, something like this. So this is the way we basically represent all this information and you can be able to export it. But for now, I'll just take it back to the original one that we had here, which is just basically the 3D one. So I'll go to information and then I'll just select 3D slope analysis. You can even change the render type material if you wanted. If you wanted this to be maybe grass or asphalt or gravel, something of the sort, you can change your material from here. Your definition, you can be able to change here. What you have changed on your drawing, it will be shown here. And your analysis, what is being considered. So it still remains to be the elevations which we have here and the statistics. You can find all the statistics information down here. That being said, I'll hit on apply. I'll hit on OK. The table will be updated in real time. And remember, you can always change to conceptual so that you just see it on a 3D way on how the areas and the curves are just moving all along around this area. But it usually uses up some of your space. But you can right click always and just simply go to object viewer. And under the object viewer, you can still find the same thing. You can be able to orbit like so, hit conceptual, and just see how your surface looks like. So this is how our surface looks like. You can change the different settings that you have here just to have a rough representation, maybe shaded, maybe something else that you prefer to be shown, and you can change from here. You can also select perspective so that you see how it looks like, and so on and so forth. But for now, I'll just simply revert it back to wireframe. So I'll select wireframe, select it like so, and then I'll just simply go back to our final document here. So once in our final document, we can see our annotations over here. And for this, a lot of information for our points is quite easy to edit. So you can just select any point that you have. So for our case, is this point here. And then you can just simply edit this as a property. So this is a group that you want to edit for this specific one. Instead of showing all this information, you can just show either nothing, or you can only show the elevation or the description alone, something that you prefer, maybe something like this, and it will be more cleaned up. And if you want something basic, you can leave it something like this. So it depends with what you want to show, or you can even create a new one. So for here, where we had just the description, so I'll click on description, I'll hit on apply, I'll hit on OK. And in the event that you wanted to edit your points here, you can just simply go here, go to edit. Instead of having the the description as topo path like so. You can just edit to maybe TP, something of the sort, and then you can select the first one all the way to the last one, maybe up to here. Hold down your shift, then double click on the one that you want to change, TP, then simply click away, and all of them will be updated in real time. And just like that, you can see all of them have been updated, and now the drawing is more easy to follow along. So now we can be able to export this specific map for our final preparation. So that's the way it looks like. You can even add a specific table for our points. To do that, it's quite easy. You can just simply double click inside this view frame that we have. So double click inside here, and once here you can simply go to, so double click inside this view frame, and inside it you can go to annotate, and under annotate you'll find this option. So we can add the point table. So click on point table, and you can select what you want to be shown. So maybe we want the PZN format, or you can edit this one that you have here to show what you specifically require. So we can create a copy from this, and you want the pen Z format. So I'll remove this copy, and then you can change what you want. So this is elevation easting. Okay, so the point elevation easting, and this should be nothing. So this we can just simply double click, and then you can be able to change what you want it to be shown here. So instead of easting, we want it to be elevation. Then you can simply hit on OK, and under here simply hit on OK, and now it will be updated. Down here you can just simply double click. Instead of easting, you just select here to be elevation. So simply navigate to elevation, point elevation, hit on OK. You can leave it be in meters. Then for this one, instead of elevation, you can just make it to be easting. So easting there, and we want to change what the name is showing up here. So double click. Instead of elevation, will be easting. Then hit on OK, hit on apply, then hit on OK again, then hit on, it has to be a dynamic table. So click on OK. So we need to select the point group. So this is Topo. Then now it has been added. Then click on OK. Then you'll just select the upper left corner. So this is the upper left corner. And right now it's out of frame, but that's not an issue. We can be able now to split this specific table to be able to fit within this area. So to split it is quite easy. Just select it, and then we want just to realign the stacks. So click on realign the stacks. So we can move it like that, and you can just pan it. So I can use pan so that I can be able to hold down, or I can first exit away. So I'll go back to model so as to make sure that I can be able to visualize. So I'll just double click again so as to make sure that, so I'll hit outside, and then I'll click on this specific view frame that we have here. So this is a view frame, and then I want to bring it up slightly down just to save on this space that we have up to, not there, but slightly here. And then I'll just move it. So you click on that center item, or you can just simply use the move command just as normal items. So move, M for move, hit on enter. So we want to move from this point to this point here. And for our points, point table, so within this area, so I'll just select this viewport and I'll move it down here. So for our point table, I'll select it, I'll move. So you can either move or use the grip point, then select it here just to use the space well, then just double click outside. And that's simply how we can be able to export this specific data. Everything is well displayed. So all you have to do is output, then plot. It will remember the same settings. So click on OK. Navigate to where you have saved the other documents. So for this one, I'll just save it as maybe full topo everything, then click on save. So once saved, this is the way the document looks like. Now we have our annotations here. We can see how the changes, we have the slope, we have the elevations, Then we still have the properties being shown here. Now we have our point group, we have our elevation table, we have our 3D representation, and we can even see the property and the elevations have been added on this 3D. So that's the way we use Civil 3D. So before we finish, I'd like to guide you on another method that many professionals use in the field when they are getting the survey map data. So in this case, we'll be using a third-party software, and for this case, it's the Global Mapper version 20.1. And much of the time, you'll find that these specific softwares, they are made with the specific thought in mind to create the topographical maps, but you can also use either Civil 3D so that you can be able to connect other disciplines such as making roads, making pipelines, so on and so forth. So that being said, I will simply guide you on how you can be able to import data or create points using this specific software in a very easy way. So I'll simply click on open so that we open to the items that we had exported from Google Earth. So in this case, I'll select either Topo map. So this was the one that had all the information. I'll click on open. So once that's done, we'll be able to be given this preview of that information that we had created. Do you remember the simple zigzags that we are creating, and also the viewpoint and the building? So we have all this information. We can also click on the vertices so that we can be able to visualize them if we need it. But in this situation, we do not need it. So I'll just simply uncheck it. But once you've imported it, we now need to set our settings to match with what we had in Google Earth. And to do that is quite easy. You can just simply click on configure from here. So click on this option once, and you're going to navigate to this configuration/projection. So this is the folder that we want. So projections. Under this, we want to change this from geometric latitude/longitude to UTM, universal transverse marker. So simply select on this, and all these other ones will be updated. But for the datum, it won't be updated. But you need to check maybe from your specific zone or the specific area, the specific datum that you use. So for our case, we use the Act 1960. So I'll simply select this, then I'll hit on apply. And if you just saw, there was some simple adjustment that has happened. And if I hover my cursor, I can even see the real-time coordinates being tracked down here. And this is amazing. And I can simply see it actually resembles the data that we have in our Google Earth software. So I'll click on OK. And then after that's done, I can now connect to online sources. So this is just maps that we already have here. So I'll click on connect to online data. Just click on this, and then I'll use this specific one, which is the SRTM, which has more updated information, but you can opt to choose the one that you prefer. So once that's done, I won't change any other setting down here. Just simply click on connect. So once that's done, it's now connecting to that specific area, and we can even change the orientation or the order of the items in the event that we needed to. Not only that, I can also connect to the world imagery or world topo map. So I can connect to this one so that we can be able to see the area and how the topographical items are laid down on this specific zone in accordance to what we found in Google Earth. So just give it a few seconds. Because of the size of the specific area, it usually takes some time to be imported. So I can just uncheck on maybe the layer that I'm not using, and then I can be able to reorder these items around, and I can be able to see them to how I want. If that specific area is not uploading, you can even use maybe the imagery, you can connect to it, and then you can be able to visualize in this specific way. So right now it's updating. We can now reorder this. We can just take this one above. So for now, we can hide this. So we can clearly see this is what we were doing here. I can use pan just to pan around and see how the items are like. And I can be able to add even other points in the event that I wanted. And to do that, it's quite easy. I can simply use the create points. I can also create lines. I can also create the area using this. I can also create area features as well as square and rectangular features and circular features from here. So for this case, I'll just simply use a point, just a point to mark. So I'll be given this that the digitalizer tools allows you to do so on and so forth. I'll click on OK. Then I'll just simply select any point that I want. So maybe this edge here, so that is an edge, and then this pop-up window will be shown, so that I can name it maybe cliff, something of the sort, cliff. So it's an unknown point. You can give it a specific term that you prefer. So in this case, I can just maybe give it as there's so many things, so it's mainly used for oil and gas. So for this case, I can just maybe term it as danger, because it's a dangerous point, it's a cliff. And then all these other items, I can leave them as is, but I can even give them layer features, attributes, so on and so forth. And also I can change if it's clamped to ground or however. So I can clamp it and then click on OK. Just like that, it has been added. If I wanted to create a line, let's say for this specific road, I'll just simply click on that point. I can just click on multiple points, something of the sort, so that I can have this road being created within our map. So once that's done, I'll just right click and then I'll just name it as rough road. Then I can change the type to road. So I can just search what we have here. So it can be a road, so or it can be a trail for this case. So I can select trail, and then I can change even the features if I wanted to. Maybe it's now connected to the same features that we have for the other map, or I can just create a new feature for itself. But I can add it now to this specific feature so that it does not become a new feature, but it will be added under that. And then I can even change the color if I wanted to customize the style, but I'll just leave it as is. We have our length, bearing, so on and so forth. And then I can just clamp it to the ground, and then I can just simply click on OK. So that's simply how we do it. So once you're content with everything, is now a matter of exporting. And for this case, we want to export the elevation data as well as what we have created. So I'll select this. So this specific item, and I can be able even to reorder it so that it can go to the very bottom, so that we can be able to be left with the imagery. I do not need the imagery for now, so I'll uncheck on that. I'll be left with three items selected. Then I'll go to file, then I'll simply go to export. Then under export, I'll find this option, which is vector/LiDAR format. So I'll click on this once. And then under this, we have so many options that you can use. So in this case, I'll be using the XYZ simple ASC #2 text file. So I'll click on OK. Then I'll be given this tip that I can just read, and then I can click on OK. So under this, we can be able to change what we want. So for here, we basically have which point we'll start. Do you want to start with the easting? So for our case, we are using the PenZ. If you remember, the points, easting, northing, elevation, and description. So this is the correct setting. All these others, you can just leave them as is so that you do not alter and tamper your data. So I'll click on OK. And then I'll simply navigate to the folder that I want to save this information. So under this folder, I can be able to save it as these different types. So I want to save it as a text, and I'll just name it as Topo Mapper. Then I'll click on save. So once that's done, I can be able now to open it under the folder that I have managed to save it. And I can be able to check how this specific data looks like. So this is how the data looks like. We have the easting, the northing, and the elevation given here. If I scroll down, we can have all this information. So the next item that actually remains is for us to take it now to Excel and manipulate this data. So I'm going to simply run Excel and open this specific document so that we can be able to manipulate it, and I'll show you how. So once Excel launches, I can be able to open that specific document. So I'll just go to open, and then from open, I can go to browse so that I can select that specific document that we want. So navigate to where you have saved that specific folder. So in this case, you'll find that it's under all Excel files, and you cannot find it, but just simply click on all files and then you'll be able to see it. So on the side, we have our preview. I'll click on open. So just give it a few seconds and then it will open. So under this, we can now be able to select what we want. You can select delimited, then go to next. Then you can select that we want it to be comma so that it will be separated like so. Then go to next. Then you can just leave this as general. Then you can go to finish. So once that's done, you'll be able to find this beautiful representation. So remember, this was a topo path. So this can be TP, just as we did in our Civil 3D. And then I can just simply select this specific rows and do away with them. and then I will simply add a new column here. So I'll just click on insert. So these are the point numbers. So we can give them as maybe T1. So it depends on how you want to name them. So from there, I'm going to just double click on this so that I can I can be able to populate all these other points. So we have so many points. We have a total of 1,513. So this is also a built-in path over here. So remember, these are the ones that we also had when we exported from Google Earth. So remember, we use BLD. So I can be able to extrapolate up to there. Then here we have a trail. So we can name it as TR for trail or something of the sort. Then I can hit on enter. Then I can extrapolate up to here. Then this can be TR1, so something of the sort. So this is a building. So BLD. So BLD. So because this is a point, I can just name it something like 01. So it depends on how you want to name them. So this is a topo map. This one was just a green circle. This is where we were showing the viewpoint. So you can just say viewpoint VP, so that we name it as VP. Also this one we can just do 01. So it just depends on how you want to name them. It's not an issue. And then this is description. So CL for cliff. And then you can name it as CL01. Then I can just simply do away with these specific rows so that we have all this data at one specific point, like so. So that's the way it looks like. So also do away with these ones here. Select, then right click. For now, let me leave this specific row so that I can be able to extrapolate these other points. So like so. So this one was building. So I'll just make sure that I copy this here. So I'm going to copy that there. But instead of 01, I can just go directly to BLD1, and then I can just extrapolate those ones. Then I'm going to go all the way up so that I can be able to extrapolate these TP points like so. Then we're going to just increase our decimal places to match. So just do like this. Use this icon here. So we have reached the third decimal place, and we also did the setting in global mapper. So only one row is remaining to be deleted, which is this one. Right click, click on delete. And that's how we do it. So we're going to just save this as a topo mapper, but instead of a text, I want to save it as a CSV, delimited. Remember, that is a format that Civil 3D understands. So this is yes. I'm going to simply close away from now this document. So go to, you can either close from here, save, yes. And now what is remaining is just to jump into, so for the 3 decimal places, let me just show you before I exit from this. Export, glider, select this, okay. So this is the area that we specify the decimal places. So if you want to change the decimal places, you can change from there. I can be able also to save this specific document for easy reference in the future. So I can easily just go to save workspace. So I'll click on this, and then I can even be able to overwrite an old one that I had here. And just like that, it's done. I'll exit. So I want to show you how to import it in our Civil 3D. So in our Civil 3D, to bring these specific points that we have gotten from our global mapper, it's quite easy. So remember, we can either use points here by going to the point creation tool. Once it is launched, you can click on this specific icon to import points, or alternatively, the one that I usually like is just to make sure that we have our menu bar being active, which is active right now. I go to points, and then I go to import, then I select import points. Once that's done, I can click on this add button, navigate to where I have saved those specific points. So in this case, I have them here in documents, and I have them under GM data, and then I can be able to select this specific document, topo mapper. I'll click on open. So once it's imported, we'll find this X. Reason being that no point file format was found. So if that has been the issue, it's not an issue, just click on delete. Then we're gonna just simply launch it and just correct what we have within this specific document. So I'm gonna activate the most recent one that we had here. So this is how it looks like. There are some, we did not manage to save the decimal places, and also these points. We can just simply go about by giving them all a common name. So 1, 2, select these two items, two cells, then double click on this just to extrapolate all the other points. Once that's done, I want to make sure that we have the same decimal places like so, and then I'm going to click on save. Then I'll save yes, then close, then save again, then yes. So let's now import it again. Click on add, select it again, click on open, and right now it's going to be accepted because we changed the point numbering system. There was no specific correlation. And under here we have the easting, northing points. So we need just correct what we did last time. Pen Z, so points, easting, northing, elevation, description, and let's put it under the point group that we can create now, a new one. So I can click on this. I can call it GM for global mapper, and then points, and then I'll click on OK. So we can do some adjustments if possible, then click on OK. And then we're going to be asked if there's a duplication, what to do. So you can either use the next number, or you can even use a sequence from a specific number, or you can even add an offset from that specific number. So to do that, I usually like to add an offset. So we can add an offset from either now, we can assume that we have 2000. So that is an offset from 2000, and then we can have a sequence of 100. So once that's done, you can just simply click on OK. So once that's done, we can simply go to our point groups here. So we can see that our points have been brought in, and we can go to our point groups, and we can be able either to manipulate this specific data that we have here. So you can clearly see this is our TR. So we use TR footer in our description keys. That's why we have this icon being shown like so. And this is the way we actually manipulate and import our data from other sources. If you are not interested in using this specific data, you can simply delete the entire point group and it will be gone. Or you can even create a specific surface with this specific data, and so on and so forth. So that being said, I'm going to just simply delete it. So yes, and everything will be deleted from our specific project. Then I can right click and I can delete the specific point group, and then I'll just right click, update, and everything now will be updated. So that being said, we are going to wrap up. So I've taken you through how to troubleshoot in the event that you have some errors. Make sure you always check your UTM zone, which is very sensitive. Once you have your data correct, all this other information will be seamless.
Great, you've made it to the end. Now I'm sure you must have learned all about using Civil 3D to create topo maps. Now, if you want to learn Civil 3D in a step-by-step way, right from scratch, then sign up for our free Civil 3D Essentials course. I have linked it in the description and also in the pinned comment. Also, let me know which topic you want us to cover in the next video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.